Today on Special Edition TV, bringing all stakeholders together to allocate water resources in Southern Alberta, Canada.
Hello, I'm Ileana Bravo. Now we turn to a topic that's of concern to all of us.
Water, water, water. We all need it, we all want it, and that's the problem.
I have always been interested in water.
Dr. Dan Shear is president of Hydrologics, Inc. His company specializes in water management issues, including analysis, planning, and conflict resolution.
We do things that are frowned upon by standard mediation firms. We participate in the development of alternatives. We suggest alternatives to the collaborative process.
The current water problem being tackled by Hydrologics is in Southern Alberta, Canada, the South Saskatchewan River Basin. Water demand in this region has dramatically increased. Agriculture, the population, and light manufacturing are all competing for limited water resources.
The problem will be made more complex by the fact that water will become shorter in southern Alberta as the years go on due to climate change, due to the melting of the glaciers. But I don't see this as an insoluble problem.
We live in a province where there's almost unprecedented growth, both in population, in industrial development. Those guys did 800 instead of...
David Hill is the program director for the Alberta Water Research Institute.
I think we've come to a realization that there probably isn't enough of everything for everybody to get all they want all of the time. And so there are some limits. And where we're working now is to try and understand what those limits are.
Maureen Bell is an environmental lawyer who started a company called Water Rights, Inc.
The more information people have, the better able they are to make decisions. It doesn't necessarily eliminate conflict, but it certainly makes it easier for people to understand the limits to the conflict.
Hydrologics meets with representatives from each side of the water issue and works to find common ground.
If we can get them to work together, we can get them to a solution where everyone can win. It's not our job to tell them which choice to make. What we expect you to do is to tell us what's good and bad about the alternatives.
But the facilitator can't do it alone. To make the process work, you need some group to bring the parties together. In this situation, it's the University of Lethbridge.
Well, I think the role of a university is to engage the public in active debate on issues that concern them. The reason why we got involved in water research was that we have no stake in water research.
Dr. Dennis Fitzpatrick is the Vice President for Research for the University of Lethbridge.
Universities don't care one way or the other on making water policy decisions. So universities tend to move into areas in which they can take knowledge, they can codify the knowledge, and they can translate that information into a way that people can understand it and they can act on it.
This is what it looks like. It's pretty.
One of Hydrologics' mediation tools is a computer modeling program called OASIS.
OASIS was built to combine a planning model and an operational model. It's very important when you're planning to do realistic operations.
In order to help facilitate dialogue among the stakeholders vying for water resources in the South Saskatchewan River Basin, the University of Lethbridge not only is hosting the OASIS model, it has also been hosting sessions like this one, where the stakeholders actually come together to find mutually beneficial solutions.
The model is actually something on which you build discussion and discover what people want, and then see if you can deliver it. And so this exercise has brought together people who may not have normally been in the same room with each other, may have viewed each other as the opposition, or maybe in some cases even the enemy.
Anytime you can model something, it lets you look at decision making without having to actually go through that real experience. And as your models become close to reality, then you can refine your decision making. Another thing a model does is it lets you test whether you know enough
The OASIS software analyzes the massive amount of information entered into the computer. It then determines water flow timetables and can help predict how future variables will impact water availability.
The OASIS model is primarily a model of hydrology. It deals with patterns of water, when it will be available, how much will be available, where it will be available.
Dr. Stuart Rood is a professor and on the board at the University of Lethbridge.
With the OASIS model, we're able to do some what-ifs relative to using the existing infrastructure, but also asking the question, what additional infrastructure could be implemented to improve water management prospects?
The Hydrologics model reminds me of a video game. It's immediate. You build it up on a robust data set, you test it out to make sure it's true, and then you ask a whole bunch of what-if questions. What if the climate changed? What if Calgary takes twice as much water?
The OASIS model will help us, hopefully, to make a more informed decision about what to do with our unused allocations, what could have the most beneficial use of our unused allocations, whether it be to another user who is short of water or whether it be to meet environmental needs in the stream.
At the end of the day, if you produce research that only experts can understand, it's of limited value. If you can produce research and you can translate it into information that the public can understand, then it has long-lasting societal values. And universities are in there for the long haul, and we're in to serve society.
Each side needs to know that everyone leaves the table with something they wanted.
The process of having people in the same room, talking to each other, expressing their own interests, and finding out when their perceptions don't match reality is extraordinarily important in making a cohesive whole and getting to composite, collaborative, mutually acceptable solutions to very complicated problems.
So it's not just about finding that final compromise, it's ultimately the actual act of working together that makes the outcome so much stronger.
With this kind of a process, there's a possibility to come to policies which are not terribly hurtful to anyone and which benefit the society here as a whole very much.
I'm going to say right off the bat, I was skeptical about whether or not the OASIS model would in fact be able to succeed in the type of modeling that was anticipated. I will say, now that I've seen OASIS running, it does indeed do what Hydrologics anticipated that it would.
So where does the OASIS model go from here?
That's a good question. One of the things that can happen, because this model is now housed at the University of Lethbridge, is that people can come to this model and ask it questions and get answers. People can organize sessions like this in the future and try things out. And if enough people begin to come together and figure out what they really want to do, then politicians, instead of being presented with their normal choice of bad alternatives, will be presented with choices of good alternatives. Knowledge makes stupidity more difficult. Doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it more difficult. And there's a good chance that something good will happen.
I'm Steve Greenberg reporting.
Until next time, for Special Edition TV, I'm Ileana Bravo.
Find Hydrologics at 410-715-0555 or on the web at hydrologics.net. To reach Special Edition TV, go to specialeditiontv.com.